Welcome to another episode of Building Community, brought to you by One Roof Chicago, committed to creating LGBTQ community in Bronzeville on the south side of Chicago. I'm Jim Harvey, your host, and we have another very exciting program for you today because it just ties right into the whole concept of building community. We have with us Brenda, and I'm going to call you Brenda Collins Sharif, because Brenda and I go back a long, long way.
A couple of days.
Couple of days. That's right. And Brenda has done many things and continues to do many things. But one of the things that she's done for years now is hold down a column in the Chatham Citizen Community Newspaper. And that goes way back to when she was a student reporter at the Chatham Citizen. That was years ago.
Actually, it was the Bulletin.
Oh, that's what it was.
It was the Bulletin. It was with Gus Savage initially.
Yes.
And then later Hurley Green.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, it got us into London House to see, to Mr. Kelly's actually, to see Nancy Wilson.
Backstage.
She had her reporter's license. But that's another story.
Yes.
That's another story altogether. Anyway, Brenda wrote a column for the Chatham Citizen recently, and reading through it, it is just so timely, and it fits so well into the whole idea of community building. It's entitled, "It Works If You Work It."
Yes.
And there's a strong message there for people our age, as well as young people, that we just don't see enough of today. And so I just want to welcome Brenda to the show and just get her to just talk.
Well, thank you so very much, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And the title of the article that you're referencing that appeared in the Citizen, "It Works If You Work It." Little anecdote. I used that because it was something that my minister, the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman, used to have. We have T-shirts, "It Works If You Work It." And one day I was talking to a client on the phone, and I said that, and she said, "Oh, we belong to the same organization." I said, "Oh, you go to Christ Universal Temple?" And she said, "What's that?" I said, "Well, you said it works if you work it." She said, "Well, I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous."
Whoa.
And that is one of their steps. It works if you work it. And I said, well, as they say, no one has really a hold on any particular frame of reference or idea, and it works if you work it.
It works if you work it.
Yes.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. You know, I highlighted some things in this article, you know, because you started out by just recalling, you know, some of the challenges and the realities that our community faces today, you know, and then you talk about, you know, how those things, you know, are not just historical details, but they're building blocks of identity.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. They say that if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. And so that's for the correction of the mistakes. And I look at it on another way. I say, when you see things, no, this is not the first rodeo.
Mm-hmm.
Other people have faced these challenges. I don't care at what stage of life you're in. There have been other people that have met those seeming obstacles and have overcome them. And so right now, our society is faced with some obstacles, but that doesn't mean they cannot be overcome.
Right.
But we have to think of what to do, how to do, when to do it, and to put ourselves in it to do it.
That's exactly right, too. Yeah. One of the other things that comes to mind is if we don't tell the stories ourselves of the history, even the history that we have lived,
Yes.
the history that we have lived, it'll disappear because we don't take the time to tell it. And, and I see a lot of evidence of that.
Yes.
We just have not taken the time to tell the stories. And one of the things that One Roof Chicago is committed to do is, as we bring seniors and young adults together on the same property, is to have these mentoring and storytelling moments, throughout the week where people can sit down and talk about their experiences, and share history, because that's what we're talking about.
Yes.
Share history and the lessons that have been learned.
And it is encouraging because as I said, there's been no stage of life where there were not some challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what we are to do. Obstacles get there, overcome it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it.
That's right.
And so as we share the stories that we have and frame them in a way that other people know, if I can do it, you can do it too. It's just think it through. Everything is a process. Knots, puzzles, these are things to be worked through, but we don't necessarily take the time, and we get frustrated. And it's those frustrations that people, as they say, make you want to holler, throw up your hands in the air. And this is not the time to do that. Right now, we are more saddled with issues that have not been fully unraveled and settled before, and now they've grown bigger.
Yeah.
And so there's an old saying that says, a stitch in time saves nine. We have not done the work that we should have done.
That's right.
And during the civil rights era, when you and I were out there, hey, Ungawa, Black Power,
That's right.
Those were the times that we thought with the legislation had changed the laws. Now we have a society that says they made a mistake in approving those laws, and let's roll it back to how it used to be.
Exactly.
And we as a people cannot stand still and just let that happen.
That's right. That's right.
If this is and I hear people talking about democracy, we do not have a democracy. We have a constitutional republic.
Yeah.
Difference being a democracy, everything that comes up, you vote directly for that. Constitutional republic, you elect the representatives to vote your interest. And so we've stopped voting, and people have stopped learning how the process works. So if you don't know how it works, you can't work it.
You can't work it. You can't work it. That just takes me back to those times when we were out there pushing, campaigning for people who were running for public office, running for office here in Chicago, running for office, congressional candidates, mayors, aldermen,
Yes.
Whatever it may have been, because we believed in what these candidates were talking about. And we were so young, in most instances, we were not even able to vote.
We
weren't old
able
enough to vote.
And at that time, to vote, you had to be 21.
You had to be 21, so we couldn't even squeak by at age 18.
Yeah.
You had to be old enough to vote. But we were out there.
Yes.
We were out there campaigning for folks, that we believed in.
Exactly.
And some of them got elected even.
Many of them.
Yeah.
Many of them got elected.
Yeah.
And it was understanding the process. I'm a great process person. I like process and procedures. There's steps. There are things. If you want to go bake a cake, you have to understand there is a process to baking a cake.
Exactly.
You know, and so there's a process for resolving issues. Process for making change. And I think that we have forgotten.
We've forgotten.
We have forgotten.
We've forgotten.
And our greatest cause of suffering, from my perspective, is forgetfulness.
It's forgetfulness. That's right.
When you know, you can do.
Exactly.
If you don't know, you can't
do. That's exactly right, too. Yeah.
And so being reminded of there's a song in church, How I Got Over.
Oh, yeah.
I look back and wonder how I got over.
That's right.
And so it is looking back, not just being in the good old days, but what did we use? How did we make it through? And those same tactics are as effective today. And that main tactic is cohesiveness.
That's right.
Not one finger,
right.
but a fist.
That's right.
That's the force.
Yeah.
And we have to galvanize, come together, and be forceful in what we do.
We have to do that. We really do. You know, those experiences serve to be civic lessons for us.
Yes.
We learned how government worked.
Yes.
We learned the importance of the vote. You know, we learned the importance and the value of community organizing and rallying. You know, we learned those lessons, things that they don't teach today. Well, they never really taught it, but they don't teach anything about civics today.
I think it's no longer a part of the curriculum.
It's not a part of the curriculum, you know.
For 40 years,
Yeah.
that's 2 generations.
Yeah. So it's like you don't learn cursive, you know. I know students who can't tell time on a analog clock.
Really?
Oh yeah, if they don't have a digital clock, they're lost.
Wow.
They cannot tell time on an analog clock, you know. But above all, it's those civic lessons, you know, that draw us to what's happening that would most affect our lives positively and negatively.
And putting that together, one of the things that the United States has been heralded as being the greatest, most powerful nation in the world is the cohesiveness that the U.S. Constitution purported for all, not necessarily experienced by all, but it gave us hope. It gave us hope. If in fact there is going to be fairness, that all men are created equal, that was actually in the Declaration of Independence.
Civic lessons.
Yes.
Our participation in the political process as young people, even before we were even old enough to vote.
Yes.
We got our civic lessons.
Yes.
From supporting political candidates and being involved in all the discussions and listening to the campaign rhetoric and all of that. And that's what prepared us for where we are. So I guess my question today would be, you know, is there a possibility that we will see, you know, a swell of young people today coming to the fore to do what we did?
Hope springs eternal.
Yeah.
And one of the things that young people have, as we had in our youth, was the energy. What we had is that we had older people,
mentors,
that were mentors that gave us the structure and the platform to help us better understand. And we listened. We listened. So we understood process and procedure. And I'm not quite sure that, and also we had it in school. And so when we had it in school, we were taught civics. And then we had people that were in our community that made those lessons we learned in school practical.
That's right.
That gave us the energy and the desire to bring about, to effect those changes.
Exactly.
We were not treated equally under the law, but their hope, as I said, hope sprang eternal, that we could get the elected officials to get in there and be our voice,
That's right.
to give what had been promised on paper to make it actuality. And it did happen in the 60s. The laws were on the books that said this is what you now have to follow. And now,
Yeah.
this is where we need the wellspring of young people, because now there are people that are elected in this democratic republic that want to reverse that.
That's right.
as if that had been an era. And so that is what our young people on our side need to say, no, that ain't gonna go.
That's right.
Because these are the laws, and the laws should be followed. And we need to have those voices, and our voices get there by the vote.
That's right. So, and you wrote, the experience taught me an important lesson. Young people do not have to wait until they are of voting age to make a difference. That's so true.
Yeah.
And we proved that.
And yeah, we could not vote.
That's right.
But we were part of the education, of the dissemination of the information that gave the inspiration for the revelation, which actually was almost like a revolution.
That's right.
We
That's right.
changed things.
That's right.
We changed things.
So as we move into building our communities out here, building a new community for marginalized people,
Yes.
you know, there's a challenge there, and part of it is making contact with our elected officials first and foremost to make certain that they're on board. Mm-hmm. And if they're not on board, we have to bring them on board, because this is our lives we're talking about.
Yes.
And allowing young people to experience those processes, you know, is something that will make all the difference.
Yeah.
It'll make a difference.
One of the things in my many decades of living is that we focus too much on differences and not samenesses. Mm-hmm. And so in focusing on those differences, that tends to be where people like to live. I have been listening to many of the politicians, both black and white, that are opposed to the advances that the LGBT community has made. And they say, well, look, they did this. Everyone lives up, breathes breath, drinks water, eats food, love people. You know what I'm saying? Stop focusing on differences and let us, we used to call it crabs in a barrel. And that's what we have gotten into. I don't want you to move because I want you down here with me. Why don't we do that sign? I can't remember who it is that painted that, where the man has gotten on top of the wall and he's reaching back
Down
to pull other people up. I don't
Yeah.
know who did that.
Yeah.
But that's what we as a people, all people, red, green, white, purple, gay, straight, old, young, educated, uneducated, all of the different dichotomies that we could identify in our society. Let's become that amalgam of sameness.
So, I think it was Maya Angelou who said that we have more in common than that separates us.
That's it.
And we just, we just have to accept that reality because it's so true.
And being a preacher woman,
Yeah.
I go back to Genesis. I said, you ain't got to look far in the book.
Okay.
Okay. And that says that we are all made in the image and likeness of God.
Exactly. And that's
That's just a simple truth that could be the proof
That's right.
of why we need
That's
to focus on our samenesses.
That's right. So we're very happy that we're moving along here in such a positive direction.
Yes.
And bringing you on this show to talk about things that I can only say are lived experiences. Lived experiences that are so relevant today. My spouse always says the only thing that has changed in America is the date.
Okay.
And he's so right. He's so right. But the important thing is that when the date was different, but the experiences were similar to what we have now, we were there. And we can bring that history, those lessons, we can bring those forward to help build community today and push back against all the negative crap that people are trying to heap on us out here.
And it does not go away by putting your head in the sand.
No.
Anything that happens when it is an obstacle, it is, my mom used to say, see a need and fill it. And so we have to fill that need. If it's lack of understanding, we need to bring
That's right.
education.
That's right.
If it is lack of energy or effort or resources, we need to come together and make those resources.
Exactly.
They used to have community meals. You bring the cornbread, potluck, that kind of thing. We need to bring those things to the table so that we can assemble what it is that we need to be able to move forward. Onward, Christian soldiers.
Exactly.
Marching as to war.
Yeah.
And this right now is a war. If we sit silent and do nothing, expecting that, it'll be all right, it will not. It will not. We have to call things that are not as though they were. So we are a resilient, wonderfully made people. And we make the difference.
I often go out on a limb and share with people that we, as a people, are the most unique people on the face of the earth and in the history of this world.
Without a doubt.
The things that we were subjected to, the things that we continue to be subjected to, those things, they may be obstacles, but we overcome them.
Every time.
We have overcome them, and
All
we
the
continue to do that. And there's nobody else out here who can boast of survival and success.
Yes.
Like we can.
And we always excel.
Always.
If you let us in it, we're going to win it.
That's right. That's right.
If you let us in it, we're going to win it.
Yeah.
We are always the stellar folks.
That's right.
I was looking at a thing about DNA, and you were talking about unique people. In the DNA, the genomes of the African American are different than any in the world.
That's right.
Because as you break down the father side and the matriarchal and the
matriarch and the patriarch.
Well, yeah, but they've got the mitochondrial and the, I can't remember the other ones, as they say. I got so much up there, I'd lose it sometimes. But on the father's side and the mother's side, those streams, we are the only people that when you look at our different countries and in this diaspora, the male side is always the European side, always the European side. And the female is the African side.
That's right.
There is very little, not even measurable, where there is European on the mother's
side.
And so from a clinical perspective, as they're looking at how drugs are processed, those are things that make us unique.
That's right. And will continue to do so.
Yes, they will. And thank you, Father, for that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's just remarkable, like I said, how we got over. But the title of your article, It Works If You Work It.
Yes.
We may not even be conscious of that. But we know that that's where we are.
That's the key.
It works if we work it.
And if we don't work it and we see things not going the way we want it, that is seeing a need and fill it
And filling it.
put your effort to
That's
it.
it. That's it.
And together we can do it.
That's right. We've been talking with Brenda Collins Sharif, my friend of many, many years. I tell
Yes.
you, oh my God.
Yes, Lord.
And I'm just grateful for this conversation, because what we talk about and what you've written about just needs to be repeated over and over again, because that's what's in front of us now, and it's based on what was behind us. And that's a great thing. One Roof Chicago, www.oneroofchicago.org. That's where you can reach us. You can make donations. You can sign up and volunteer. You can find a niche as we continue to build community. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Brenda. We'll see you again next month. Bye-bye.